What's up, Hokie Nation, and welcome into yet another Brent Pry press conference breakdown. Virginia Tech looks to snap a 2-game skid and clinch bowl eligibility in Durham this weekend when they take on Duke. That's Saturday at 8 p.m. on the ACC network. Now, first things first, what are Pry's thoughts on the bye week and then Duke as a whole? Let's see.
We had a good bye week. Got some guys a little bit healthier, did some recruiting, got some young guys some work. It was needed, and I think we got the most out of it. So obviously a good opponent in Duke at night at their place, senior night. Got a good football team, well coached, playing sound, quarterbacks playing good, defense playing good, garnering takeaways. They've got some, a couple of good wins under their belt, and they've lost a couple of close ones. But, we'll have our hands full over there, but our guys are looking forward to it.
And then speaking of getting healthy, what are the statuses of Kyron Drones, Bayshaw Sutton, and Malachi Thomas? Here's Pry.
Yeah, I think the week was good, obviously. All of them got to really back off and get extra treatment and do everything we could. They're all questionable. Again, I know I say that, but we'll have to go out there and see how things go, the next 2 days. None of them are to a point right now where I can stand here and say they're going to play. But I'm hopeful.
So then what stands out about Duke? Let's talk about the Blue Devils defensively with an emphasis on the defensive front. Here we go.
Yeah, very sound. These guys play hard. I don't think there's a lot of bad steps or bad leverage. I think they're well coached. They got some depth, which helps. So they're a little bit like us. I don't know that, they've garnered takeaways. They've done well in the red zone at times. I don't know that their run defense is where they want it to be, but their pass defense is very strong. It's a good group. And I think it starts up front, and those guys, they roll pretty good with a healthy rotation. They've got experience, a couple of transfers, and some of them we're familiar with.
And as Pry alluded to in his opening statement, Duke is one of the best teams nationally at creating takeaways. So naturally, what are the keys to staying on the field and sustaining drives? Here we go.
Yeah, I think you said it. We've got to protect the ball. We can't be careless with it. They're opportunistic, and then secondly, we got to create some explosives. They may bend a little bit, but they don't break. I mean, they really make you earn it, and that's what good defenses do. They do a nice job with that. They've got a nice mix of pressures to create some minus yardage things, and I think their offense complements their defense.
And then how about the challenges of Duke's offense? They're led by Texas transfer quarterback Malik Murphy and have done some pretty notable things so far this season. Here's Pry.
Yeah, they're RPO. They take shots down the field. They convert a fair number of those. Got good wideouts that play well, efficient routes, good ball skills. I think that the quarterback, when he's in rhythm, he's one of the better ones I've seen this year. Just kind of snap, catch, throw, and a lot of slants and quick meshes, and then he'll one-step it and take it downtown. Good screen package, I think that helps neutralize some pressure, but he's playing well, and the supporting cast, particularly the wideouts, a solid tight end, got some backs that can do some things. They get in empty a bunch, bunch in the boundary and some quad sets. They use tempo. They make you defend a lot. They're a pretty well-rounded group.
So how about this? Let's spice it up just a little bit. I know we're in the second to last week of press conferences, and they can get a little bit repetitive. But Mike Barber of the Virginian Pilot asked about NIL and a very thought-provoking conversation. He talked to Brent Pry on, it's a bye week. So does that give you time to essentially re-recruit your roster and sit people down to talk about maybe if they're going to stick around next year? Let's see.
Yeah, there's certainly plenty of conversations. as a staff and several with members of our team, whether it's preliminary and a few that have gotten a little more in depth. That's the reality of where we are. We had a bye week, so we had a chance to dive into some of that. Some assistants took some guys to lunch and just have a conversation. Not anything that's got to have some pressure to it. Let's just be transparent about where things are, what you're thinking, concerns, positives, like where are you at with things. We need to get as much information as we can to help us navigate this to, have us the best roster we can.
So we talk about how much time he spent on re-recruiting the roster, but how much communication can there be between Virginia Tech football and the collectives such as Triumph NIL right now? Here we go.
Yeah, obviously, right now with the landscape potentially changing or likely to change, there's been a lot of conversations with the administration, with Triumph, just about what this is going to look like moving forward and how does it need and how can it look for Virginia Tech to put our best foot forward.
And then to wrap it up, another interesting one. David Teal, he asked Brent Pry about, well, potentially college football could be going to 105 scholarships next year. That's been well documented. I know there's a whole settlement going on in the House right now, and we'll see what happens. So if that does happen, Pry will have to have these conversations. But has he so far had to sit down with anybody to talk about maybe there won't be a spot on the roster for you next year? Interesting stuff.
I have not had to do that yet, but there's been conversations about the potential of that. There's been conversations about what it looks like in the spring and then post-spring. So there's a lot to navigate with it.
Yeah, that's a nice little press conference breakdown this weekend. NIL, Virginia Tech, Duke, Hokies, and Blue Devils on Saturday at Wallace Wade Stadium, 8 p.m. on the ACC Network.